Hi guys, it's Lee at FX Model Miniatures. Um, I said I may be doing some content, um, just random content really, just featuring a few models here and there. So I thought today I'd start with the Return of the Jedi A-Wing, but an A-Wing with a difference. This model is actually a concept maquette, or a replica of a concept maquette, that is. One model does exist, I believe, at Skywalker Ranch, and another was actually published in the recent Japanese Star Wars Chronicles, both differing in design. As you can see, the one depicted here has got no rings on the ends of the engines. Now this model is actually the one depicted in Chronicles. I've just dressed up the paint, so to speak. More on that later. Also, it's devoid of an actual cockpit interior, as per the model depicted. The model itself is actually made of two Tamiya 132 scale F14 hulls. The hulls are actually cut up the centre here, right up there. You can just about see the seam, and they're then rejoined, and then top and bottom of the F14 there and under here is then joined to form the A-wing hull. This aperture here where the gun sits is actually the front end of what would be the swing wing aperture on the actual Tomcat jet. So it was fabled for some time that the A-wing was actually based on an F14 and possibly constructed from a large scale F14. We know that now. That's false. It was actually hand fabricated as a large vac formed, I believe, 60cm model, quite a large model. This one, it's only small, you know, it's a very small model. The only other kit parts that we could actually, you know, identify were the main engine cans and also these exhausts. These are actually from the 132 Hasegawa F16. Obviously you need two kits. The only other, I believe, confirmed kit parts are this section here, which is actually the main two-seat area canopy of the F14, and this is actually the F16 canopy. So that gives you a rough basis of the shape of the A-wing. The rest, there's no reference on this model. There really is no reference. Maybe some people out there have got reference. We know people like to hold on to reference as tightly and dearly as they can. You know, all power to them. But yeah, having no reference, it's kind of a free rein. So I just took various kit parts to decorate the shoulders here, which are some parts from I think Ligier, Morsical maybe, Ferrari 312, the actual engine exhausts here are Ferrari 312, Tamiya M16 for these exhausts inside the exhausts. You know, so various 112th F1 kits and 135th Tamiya. Same for the guns, no reference, so just have fun. You know, I use some 112th Tyrrell and I think M16, should I say, there. And then, yeah, it goes together really well. You know, it all kind of blends together. I chose to replicate this model having no rings. I wanted the plain fins. There's only one picture of this, and it's not actually finished in paint terms. It's built, and it's a very more garish red and stark white in the imagery. So I just had fun with the paint using Guy Cowan's Archive X enamels. She was painted reefer white initially. On that reefer white, all the red was masked off, which is actually D&H Caboose red. It's a really beautiful red, which I think is pretty bona fide for Return of the Jedi. I think it's also used on a lot of the Death Star 2 substructures and framework. Possibly, or it's just red oxide primer. We'll never actually know, but that's the fun. And then various other markings were just added in reefer greys, some rust, and then various washes applied, some blast damage. I just had fun with it. You know, I didn't want to leave it as a stark model. It was, you know, fairly bland looking. And I had a lot of fun in the just exhaust region, you know, which was really nice. You know, the back end, just splurge load of washes in there, the airbrush and hand applied topical, which is what a lot of the blast marks are actually. They're just topical hand applications, then misted over. But it is a really interesting little model. It's actually such a different shape to the actual final miniature. It's actually sleeker and flatter, but it's quite amazing how ILM took these real world profiles and then replicated them at a larger scale. They did the same with the speeder bike. The speeder bike had a concept maquette that was based around many Ferrari parts, space shuttle parts, you know, really eye-catching parts when you actually come to study them. But then they fabricated them much larger. Hence, you know, they did the same thing with the Awing. This is maybe an 8-inch or so model, you know, which resembles the Awing amazingly. But then, obviously, I mean, I presume for filming purposes, it's not really up to the job. It's very small. There's only so much detail you can pack into it. It's tricky to build, you know, it's tricky to put together, and then I suppose there's fabricating an armature for such a small model. Yeah, obviously ILM decided to you know, draft it from the ground up, so to speak. That's what I meant to mention. That's another feature. These little intakes, they're actually apparent on this version in the Japanese Chronicles. And it took me a while to track anything down that resembled those, and what they actually were the air brake flaps from the tail fin of the Hasegawa F-16. So those were fun to add because they're only apparent on this model. The other Awing model that is built the same way as this, but actually has the more Canon ring structure here. You know, obviously more akin to the filming miniature, that does not have those intakes. So they were both different. It'd be really interesting to know if any of these other models exist in the archives. I mean, you can actually see these vents are still open here from the F-14. Those are actually hollow. Whereas again, on the model that exists in Skywalker Ranch, it's in somebody's nice display cabinet. Those are actually blanked off with styrene. So it's possible this version was the first one, and then they changed various things, just modified them, and then drafted what we know as the final studio model. But yeah, it was just a little bit of fun. Really lovely model to display. Very interesting to paint and display and look at. Yeah, it's such a crazy little thing. As I said, it is a real shame there is no more reference of it. Would be great to see, but I think between a few of us at FX Model Miniatures, we did a nice job of replicating a few of these and just having fun with them. So anyway, thanks for watching all.